happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out. As we got that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth putting his foot down and demanding criminal prosecution against the dishonest media outlet CNN after they leaked a fake battle damage assessment on the strikes against Iran. Guys, I'm excited to get into this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Wow, guys, talk about laying it on thick. That was President Donald Trump ahead of him boarding Air Force One to head to the NATO summit. He had a very busy day yesterday with the NATO summit in the Netherlands. And while aboard Air Force One, he took more questions from the press. And then he said this.
You know, I'd like to see a deal with Russia. As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you. And I hope we're going to be getting a deal done with Russia.
Guys, that one right there spoke volumes to me, at least. Seeing that Donald Trump's leadership, we've got Putin, President Vladimir Putin, reaching out, asking Donald Trump, can I do anything to help you with Iran? All I'm going to say is there is no way, no day that if Kamala Harris was in that office that Vladimir Putin would be reaching out to ally or partner up with her. I mean, that just speaks to Donald Trump's leadership skills. This guy is a strong leader. That's what we need in the office. And then shortly after landing in the Netherlands, Donald Trump attended a breakfast meeting with the King and Queen of Netherlands. We got Mario Nawfal here on X tweeting out Donald Trump as a true social post. He said the day begins in the beautiful Netherlands. The King and Queen are beautiful and spectacular people. Our breakfast meeting was great. Now it's off to the very important NATO meetings. The USA will be represented very well. Wow. And that was an understatement because Donald Trump absolutely just lit it up at these NATO meetings. A staunch advocate for the United States of America. I wouldn't want any other type of leader or leadership there.
For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible. Your leadership on this has already produced $1 trillion in extra spending from European allies since 2016. And the decisions today will produce trillions more for our common defense to make us stronger and fairer by equalizing spending between America and America's allies.
So I'm just going to say it, guys, there is no way without the President Donald Trump there, NATO, we would still be getting screwed over, shoveling out money hand over fist while our allies sit aside and just benefit from the United States, kicking all these dollars into there. Now we've got the NATO chief saying that we've got President Donald Trump generating so much revenue for NATO and the allies of the United States of America. We need to start, we feel bad. We need to start doing our part, pulling our fair share, pulling our weight. And we need to equalize things up a little bit for President Donald Trump and the great work that he's been able to carry out over such a short time in the office. But they don't stop there. The NATO chief continues to praise President Donald Trump throughout the entire summit. Check it out.
But I think he's a good friend. And when he is doing stuff which is forcing us to, for example, when it comes to making more investments. I mean, would you ever think that this would be the result of this summit if he would not have been re-elected president? Do you really think that 7 or 8 countries who said, yeah, somewhere in the 2030s we might meet the 2%, we've now all decided in the last 4 or 5 months to get to 2%? So doesn't he deserve some praise? And when it comes to Iran, the fact that he took this decisive action, very targeted, to make sure that Iran would not be able to get its hands on a nuclear capability, I think he deserves all the praise.
Come on now. I mean, that right there was the NATO chief reiterated my point that would you guys think this really would have happened? You think all of our allies would have, come to the table with their fair share of portion, start pulling their weight if it weren't for Donald Trump being elected into office? I mean, it wouldn't have been the same way with Kamala Harris. I just refuse to believe in goofball Tim Walz not going to be able to get it done. And then, of course, we had Donald Trump responding to all this praise saying, hey, NATO is going to become very strong with the help of the United States.
We're with them all the way. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers, we're with them. And they have very big things to announce today. I don't know if you've taken the vote or you're going to take the vote, but I've been asking them to go up to 5% for a number of years, and they're going up to 5%. That's a big... from 2%, and a lot of people didn't even pay the 2%. So I think it's going to be very big news. NATO's going to become very strong with us.
Come on now. NATO is going to become very strong with us. And then the secretary had some very interesting remarks here when discussing the conflict between Israel and Iran. I'm just going to leave it up to the clip. Let's hop straight into that one.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like 2 kids in a schoolyard. They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word. I mean,
It said, and then Daddy has to come in and stop the fight. That was NATO secretary referring to President Donald Trump as Daddy. And then Donald Trump had to troll a little bit. We do a little bit of trolling go through here. Donald Trump responding to a reporter's question, saying he likes me. He did it very affectionately. You're my daddy.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
no, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionately. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Mark Rutte, the NATO...
Oh my God, I just can't. I can't see that clip enough times. I had to include that one in here. I think it was the accent that did it too. Do you remember him calling you daddy? Like that right there set it off for me, guys. Oh my goodness. You gotta love Donald Trump. He is a comedian in his own right. This is the leader that we definitely voted in. I mean, able to, dictate the world, but also able to, keep things very light, keep things light on the world stage. You gotta love it. But I'll tell you one thing he didn't take light, and it was letting CNN have it yesterday. Of course, Donald Trump ripping into CNN even more, saying the media scums are trying to downplay this unbelievable victory that we just had.
This was an unbelievable hit by genius pilots and genius people in the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You have some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally, and it knocked it out. The original word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong word. It was obliteration. We hear it was obliteration. It was a virtual obliteration. When you take a look at the ground above, don't forget the flame is all underground. But everything above, if you look at the before and the after picture, everything above is burned black. The trees, everything. There's one building, but that's a building that sunk substantially into the granite, so that the fire goes right over it. I believe it was total obliteration. I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast. If it would have taken 2 weeks maybe, but it's very hard to remove that kind of material. Very hard and very dangerous for them to remove it. Plus, they knew we were coming. And if they know we're coming, they're not going to be down there. There aren't too many people that are going to be down there. Pete, do you have something to say about that?
Well, Mr. President, when you talk to the people who built the bombs, understand what those bombs can do, and deliver those bombs, they landed precisely where they were supposed to. It was a flawless mission.
So that was President Donald Trump laying into fake news, CNN, absolutely letting them have it. Here is the original clip, the leaked battle damage assessment report that we had coming from CNN, where they, of course, put their fake news spin, a whole different narrative on how the strikes went. Check it out.
About the battle damage that resulted from those U.S. military strikes on these 3 Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. And as you said, it was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it is worth noting that it is a very early assessment. The strikes were only a matter of days ago, and the intelligence community is still gathering intelligence. They are still working to come up with a full, comprehensive picture of what exactly happened here. But based on a battle damage assessment that was carried out by U.S. Central Command, essentially looking at the images and looking at what was actually damaged, the Defense Intelligence Agency has assessed that the core components of Iran's nuclear program are largely intact, and that Iran's nuclear program has essentially only been set back by months. Now, we presented this information to the White House for comment, and White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, she did acknowledge the existence of this assessment, but she said in a statement that the administration disagrees with it. She said, quote, "This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets, total obliteration." Now, it is worth noting here that there has been dissent, I should say, within the intelligence community, within the defense community, about just how much of an impact these massive bunker buster bombs would actually have on Iran's nuclear facilities. It was far from certain, given that these bombs had never been tested in an actual combat scenario, whether they would actually penetrate those very, very deep underground tunnels that lie underneath these nuclear facilities. And what we are told is that as of now, this Defense Intelligence Agency assessment, it does conclude at this point, again, it is still very early, that those underground facilities, including the centrifuges, including the highly enriched uranium that everyone has been talking so much about, those are largely intact. Now, of course, this does stand at odds with what President Donald Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth have been saying in recent days about the impact of these U.S. military strikes.
All right, you guys, so that was the original dishonest fake news CNN report. I'm not sure how they got a hold to this battle damage assessment. That, like Caroline Leavitt said, there was obviously some low-level leaker within the intelligence community leaking out this news to CNN of all mainstream media outlets, and then of course they're going to put their flimsy spin on it and, you know, gaslight the folks to believe that the strikes were unsuccessful. But what I see from the aftermath, you drop 420,000 pounds of explosive on a strike. I mean, on a target. It's definitely bound to do some damage. That's what I'm going to say. And then from what I've seen, these pinholes, like the entry holes, they were side by side by side. I was even mind blown by how such precision could be made from these, B-12 aircrafts from such high up in the air. 14 different pilots, but they were all lined up like right next to each other. I just don't see how they could have been unsuccessful. And then we had Secretary Marco Rubio with a chance to speak on this himself at NATO. Check out what he had to say. I mean, I can't argue with the facts there. Marco Rubio saying that, hey, there is no way that Iran would have came to the table if we didn't do the damage that was said to have been done. I mean, why else would they come to the table out of nowhere, seemingly, if the strikes were unsuccessful? I just refuse to believe. And from the site that we've seen and the amount, you just do the analytics, or you look at the numbers, 420,000 pounds of explosive. That is a lot for one target. I'm going to say a bit overkill, but it got the job done. Oh, but I know you guys didn't think President Donald Trump was done yet. When I say he did not let CNN have a break yesterday, he went in, roasted them a filth. This is him calling out CNN's Caitlin Collins at the NATO summit. Check him out.
Oh, fake news CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question. You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also Iran made the statement. And it's also, if you read the document that was given that Pete can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage. But they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question?
Oh my goodness, Donald Trump, President Trump letting them have it once again. We got ex-user Chad Smith here with a very great point saying weird. Last week, CNN reported that Iran didn't have a nuclear weapons program. Now they say the program that doesn't exist has only been degraded by a few months. Something's not adding up here, you guys. He goes on to say that you'd have to have complete short-term and long-term memory loss to believe anything reported by the mainstream media lunatics. And he's exactly right in saying so. I mean, they try to tell us that there was no nuclear program now, or nuclear weapons program, and now they're saying that it's only been set back by a mere few months by the strikes of President Donald Trump. Which one is it? Which one is it? I would love to know. And then you guys know I saved the sweet treat for last. Just after a couple of days, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC's remarks where she wanted to call for Donald Trump's impeachment, saying the president's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. It is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. Well, we got news for old AOC, that earhead of Congress. We've got House Republicans saying we've got your back, Mr. President, and a big old impeachment denied tweet coming out just yesterday evening. Oh my goodness. I know I had to save the sweet treat, the best for last, but you know, these loonies on the left, this is what they're going to keep trying to do. Impeach Donald Trump, impeach him left and right. This word holds no weight, no validity anymore. It doesn't hold the same merit because of the way they've used and abused it. They're like the boy who cried wolf all over again. What are you going to do when it's actually an impeachable offense? You're going to cry it again and no one's going to believe you. Guys, but definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. President Donald Trump had a very busy day yesterday. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next week.